Alright then everyone, hello and welcome back to what is the 10th round of the NEF1 Championship. This week we are back in Belgium for the first time on this new game. It's a new I'm not going to say new layout, but it's a new sort of track. It's definitely a new feeling track on this year's game for the Belgian Grand Prix here around Spa-Francorchamps for the first time on this new game. As said, 16 people in the lobby, full Q1, Q2 and Q3 session will be in effect. One person's going to be knocked out of Q1, 5 people are going to be knocked out of Q2, and then a top 10 shootout for pole position in Q3 then. But new debutant for this week, PRS TKM21, probably just going to go by either TKM or PRS. We'll notice that once we get some action, what comes naturally, but probably PRS. We'll wait and see. Sam Obama then having a good week out last time out in Zandvoort in his new team, Scuderia Ferrari. Very much on pace with his teammate for the entirety of the race. See if he can continue that on for this weekend. Sam Obama then one of the most impressive drivers so far this season out and out lap then, along with last week's winner YPC Tess and Matty Adams 16 in that second Ferrari. What are they going to be able to do, challenging for the Constructors' Championship with Aston Martin at the moment? Aston Martin comprised of Wiggin and Djokovic at the moment. Djokovic, so close to winning last week's race, 36 thousandths off in the end, but 36 thousandths too slow. Was 18 points for the championship leader instead of the 25, but he still carries a very healthy championship lead, and at this point can't really see anyone catching him with 8 rounds to go, including this one. We are now in the second closing half of this championship, and we've got a couple of banging tracks to come up later on during this coming month and the months that are to follow, but I'll keep an eye on that a little bit later on. We'll go through the calendar as well later on in this qualifying. Websy Tasvan on track then. I believe he's first out. Yes, he is. He's followed by, I believe, might be Matty. No, that's Sam Obama following YPC, and then Matty's coming in third. YPC is going to be first to start a flying lap here then. In his Alpine, he carried him to victory for the first time in NEF1 last week out. Very impressive display. Managed to defend beautifully from Djokovic, who was putting him under pressure from the moment that the rain started. YPC was on the back foot, but just managed to hold on from a Djokovic who is absolutely mighty in wet conditions. We've seen that before, but YPC just able to hold on for his first Grand Prix win in New Era F1 Esports. We'll see if he'll be able to pick up his second one through this Grand Prix. We'll know in about 2 hours' time. Matty Adams still looking for his first win this season. I'm sure he's not too far away. He's been very, very close on several occasions and finished P2 on quite a lot of occasions now this season and last season. Quite certain that Matty's going to be incredibly sick of seeing his car up in P2. P1 is going to suit him just that bit better, I reckon. We'll see when that time comes. Spenclo still looking for his first win this season as well. Squidge looking for his first chain of good races and not going to come with a opening to the lap like that. Just I went on board with him. I'm very sorry about that, Squidge. Commentator's curse if I've ever seen one. Wiggin had a good time out last week out as well. Showed some really promising pace, especially in dry conditions. Fell away a little bit through the wet, but promising signs that from Wiggin. Definitely able to hang with his teammate, out qualifying Matty if I'm not mistaken as well. So Wiggin, a driver on the rise this season. It's going to be really fun to see what he's going to be able to do here in Spa-Track, where he's done decent in the past. Don't really have anything to go off in terms of last season, however, so we can't really see any reason for him. ABT able to pick up a good result 2 weeks ago. Absolutely dreadful performance, however, sadly last week. But let's see if he's able to pick it up at a track that he does know quite well. Kit W41 just slowly getting up to speed as well, getting more and more comfortable with league per race. Still relatively new to NEF1, so we'll see when he starts picking up points on a regular basis. As for us, fellow YJMA showed some really good pace last week out as well, so we'll see if he's able to build off that, as we've had a first time this session. So 144.024, which is not even closely matched by Matty's 145.382. Same tyre compound. That's a little bit of a worrying sign for Matty Adam. Kit on 146.573. As PRS TKM is coming onto the back straight on a set of soft tires in Q1. Just want to get out of the session. BT has beaten Matty to it with a 145.351, and Djokovic has gone fastest with a 143.820 on a set of medium tires. So take a note of that, medium tires at the moment for the front runners here in this Q1 session, not want to waste the set of softs, and we might see a couple of people go for those medium tires again in Q2. Here we go then, PRS, that's a handy lap from the Mercedes man, 144.906. Keep in mind, it's on a set of soft tires, but still a very good lap indeed, as we've had a couple of liveries changes for this race as well. So that Mercedes now has the kind of, is it a teal stripe? A teal stripe behind the Petronas logo. So I'm sure there's a couple of other livery changes that you might spot here and there. Nothing too interesting though. It's a brand new sound to the Ferrari engine. It does sound very quiet. It does sound vacuum cleaner like almost. Very quiet that. As Kokos Björn is back in chat for the first time in a long time. Fancy seeing you here, mate. Hope you're having a good time. Cheering on his mate Darren Stahl, currently sitting in P15 out on a flying lap. Where is he? He's coming up to Rouge and Radion. Gonna try not to make too many of those jokes over here tonight, but those are about the only two corner names I know around this place. So I'm sure there's going to be one or two yellow flags in Sector 2. That's through Pouon. It is the only other one that I know, but those yellow flags have been cleared as we're coming up to the bus stop chicane, and there are yellow flags there instead involving a McLaren. There's a lot of yellow flags going on at the moment. So Darren ran through a very tricky sweeping right-hander downhill through this left-hander as well. Very, very easy to just overcook it into one of these corners. Sesval Jmars at a 144.450. I'm very curious, is that medium or soft tires? That's medium tires for Sesval Jmar, 144.450. And this man is really starting to pick up his pace this season. TKM has come across for a 144.517. A squidge goes fastest out of anyone with a 43.808. 12 thousandths quicker than our championship leader. As Darren Stahl is now on the run down to the bus stop chicane as well. A chicane that, from what I'm hearing and from what I'm understanding, is incredibly slippery on this game, so I'll keep an eye on that, see if that holds any merit. But from what I've heard, this is an incredibly tricky corner on this year's game. You can kind of see it in the approach that everyone takes into it as well, just not really pushing it through there. 145.796 for Darren Stahl gets him through right now. We'll see if that maintains. Spenclose needs to improve on his pace by a couple of seconds, or he'll be out early here as Hybrid's going to come across the line to set a 145.055. Good enough for P6, and he should be through. Looking at the second Ferrari of Samo Bamo 25, and P15 at the moment is the Ferrari man. See what he's going to be able to do. Still looking, if I'm not mistaken, for his first podium in an NEF1, but that is coming this season. Mark my words, if it isn't, he has been absolutely wrong. He wasn't far off it last week out. If it just stayed dry throughout, very well could have been there. Unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be. But Samo, not far off, and definitely establishing himself as a podium contender and a top driver in NEF1 this season. Here we go, and on the run down to the bus stop chicane, there's a car ahead of him. I believe it's one of the RBs. It's one of the Red Bulls even. So technically I wasn't wrong there, I was just using the abbreviation. And here we go then for Samo Bamo coming across the line. It's going to be a 145.959, not good enough really. And that lap is not necessarily going to get him through. Kit needs to improve by 6 tenths to beat it. Spenclose is likely going to improve past that as well. So Samo, not done in this session, he'll have to come out again. And you'd have to wonder then, are those soft tyres going to make an appearance on that Scarlet Ferrari? I would imagine so, just in order to get through. Samo is not a driver that should be dropping out in Q1. as iWatts then has made its way up into the top 10 as well with a 145.123. It's a relatively competitive field at the moment, especially in the 45s. It's going to be an interesting battle. No one really close to the 44s though, out of this 40... Well, no one really close to the mid-44s though, of PRS in this 45 train. Of hybrid iWatts Wigan, none of them really being able to break into the territory of PRS and JMR. BT up there as well with a 44.433. Matty up there with a 44.315. So the pace we looked at from Matty earlier on in this session, which was quite worrying at the very start once we saw the pace of YPC Tess as well, that's kind of been scraped off the board. Matty very much up there now with a 44.315, just a little bit slower than former teammates. No locks, 144.267 for the leading McLaren driver of this season. His teammates back this week, currently sitting in P9 on a 45.055, ahead of iWatts on that 45.123. Looking outside the top 10 then, Wigan, Ginsters, Darren, Samo and Kit all through at the moment. Spenclose needs to just needs to get a lap together really. Samo Bamo is out there, and I would imagine this is going to be yet another go at it. Question is, how much is those medium tires going to offer him? He has time to do this lap, see if it's going to evolve into anything, and come into the pit, do an out lap and then another fast lap. But it is a long lap around here, 145 say minimum, which means probably a 2-minute out lap, as Samo's massively improving through the fast sector as he needs to. Because Spenclose is going to be right there as well, and at the moment Kit might have a little bit of a difficult time coming or getting himself out of this session. Darren Stahl and Ginstis might want to look behind him as well, maybe even Wigan, but he just might be safe with that 45.484. Mid-45s then is the time we're probably looking at for the cutoff. As Kit comes across 48.144, needs to go again, and he does have a full battery, so I would imagine this is going to be a fast lap. Sam Obama through this incredibly long sector 2, which can really make or break your lap, and if he's done that, well, gain probably a second coming through this sector split, and he does. So nicely done from Sam Obama. So this lap at the moment is going to propel him straight into the top 10. So Sam Obama, slightly worried about his pace early here in Q1. I don't think we'll have to be. Now just going to navigate through that last corner. Can afford to lose a tempo or two. We'll still make it through. So now the battle's between Kit, Darren and Ginsters probably. I'm expecting Spenclose to hook a lap up. But you never know, things can happen, especially around a track like this. A bit unpredictable. Yellow flags in Sector 1, up the Camel Straight, nothing to worry about. As Samo goes P9, 44.639, not far off debutant PRS. As Spenclose then is coming up to that Sector 2 split, and this should be an improvement of several seconds. And it is 3.8 seconds up, and I'm not going to try to do the maths, but from the look, I think that's actually quite good. So let's see if he can even challenge the top guys. Wait and see, he should gain a couple of seconds on this last sector as well. Don't imagine that 49.3 is a very competitive lap. As it's not going to be a competitive lap since he invalidates it. That might have been a lap that could have gotten him through on the mediums. Now he's going to have to come out again, and he's lucky it did that now. As also, thank you very much, James Taylor, that's followed by Jamar, for the subscription. Absolutely love you, buddy. Cheers a lot. As YPC Tess is reporting that he ran out of fuel on his second run. Potentially almost a second up, as people are now starting to retire from this session. Is Squidge and Beatty just opted that safe. 4 minutes to go. Kit out on a lap, 46.573. Needs to improve by almost 2 seconds now. Or by almost 1 second, sorry. To get up into safety, but he's only going to have one more go at this if his car is fueled up enough. No locks, Matty, Jamer are now retiring as well, and this might be a trend in the next minute or two. See if we wins the next one, and then all the top 8 will be not out here, but will have had retired. Relatively close between the top 8 for the time being, less than just over 6 temps separating the top 8, which is what we want to see, especially around a track like this where qualifying gaps can actually be quite significant. That is a dirty Mercedes, or PRS, probably having gone off in the gravel at some point, but it's absolutely covered in dirt. I love that you can actually see those details in the game now. Just turns it that bit more immersive. As here we go, Darren Style out on an outlap, Spenclose out on an outlap. I imagine that soft tyres on. Yeah, can't risk anything. Soft tyres on that Red Bull. So then, Spenclose under pressure now, needs to hook a lap together. Will be starting in P16 around this place, which is a track we should be able to overtake relatively easily. I don't think a defense down the Camel Straight is really going to be possible. We'll wait and see. But we'll notice how this all plays out. As Kit W41 now, on his last attempt probably in this session, needs to hook a lap up now, or he is definitely in danger. His fate lies now in the hands of Spenclose 64. So, and also brand new engine noise for Kit. Sounds a bit weird, a Ferrari engine, but it is what it is. We'll have to make do with it, and that is a sliding moment that I don't think Kit can really afford on a lap like this. We'll wait and see. Downhill braking into the sweeping right-hander. Can't afford to take too much curb, but I think those can just spin you out. But it is a very slippery Haas, that. It's a very slippery Haas that is trying to navigate through the second sector, as PRS is now retired in the pits as well, not having to come out again. Buffkins and Hybrid just out covering themselves really in an outlap, but I don't think they'll have to. 1:22 to go. But I think this session's going to come to an end quite early, as we know who's going to be eliminated. No, because it's all going to hang on Spenclose, or if he invalidates this lap. Just got to hook a lap up now, Spenclose, really. Doesn't need to do anything flashy. However, Darren Style might be in a bit of trouble here, because Kit is improving by a significant margin enough to push Darren down into the danger zone on P15. So here we go then, Kit across the line, doesn't improve by enough, losing out a little bit in the last sector, and that is Kit now well and truly under danger. Is not going to get another lap in. Spenclose now just needs to keep it clean through the second sector. He is through, and Kit at the moment is looking unlikely to make it through into the next stage of qualifying. We'll wait and see, but Spenclose just needs to keep it clean now, and he is safe. This means Darren is safe from elimination. So Darren can just rest a little bit easy. Spenclose right now should be able to just ride this home as well. One corner to go, one section of corners to go. As time has expired in the session, then we'll now just be waiting for the last couple of cars to come through. Spenclose round the final two corners, and it is going to be a comfortable P7 for Spenclose. 1:44.386, and that is Kit out of qualifying early here in Q1. It is Haas both in P16 and P15. So against this not being able to hook up a lap really either. Darren does actually improve towards the end of that session. Relatively competitive session, looking at all the times. But Kit would have had to improve by almost 7 attempts to get ahead of his teammate, who then would have been out. It's a bit of a tall order for Kit. We'll see what he's going to be able to do for the Grand Prix. But Spenclose just makes it through there in the end. But he does have to use another set of soft tyres, and we're expecting Spenclose to be in the running for Q3 as well. With a 1:44.386 on a set of softs, though, is not a guarantee. Couple of people behind him setting similar laps on his other medium, including BT, Jamar, and Samo, all setting the best lap times on mediums. Hybrid as well, not electing to go soft quite yet. So, and I reckon it's going to be quite close for Q3 for Spenclose. We'll wait and see. Maybe he does have a little bit more pace. Once again, this was just a lap that he needed to get across the line to get it into Q2, and he managed to do so. I don't think it would have been pushing too hard, as Hybrids just come across there for a P12 in the end, with a 1:44.2, if I'm not mistaken. So a decent end to the session that from both the McLaren Hybrid and No Larks, who's quite substantially further up in P4. Squidge takes the session in total with 143.808, 12 thousandths of a second quicker than championship leader Djokovic, who is a couple attempts quicker than YPC Tess, who apparently was on a lap but ran out of fuel. No Larks in P4, Matt in P5, followed by Wigan in P6, Spenclose in P7, two Canadians, P8 and P9, and PRS, the Mercedes debutant for this week, in P10. As we can see, the top 10 separated by less than a second, which is what we'd like to see. As Kit W41 is the sole car eliminated in Q1, but we'll see him again for the Grand Prix that is to come. 22 laps of racing around here. Gonna be a bit special, but it should be a good race. Here we go then, into Q2 for the first time this evening, and for the only time this evening. That's a stupid comment. And we got 15 runners and riders for this session. Keep your eyes out on quicker lap times from Djokovic, Tess, and Squidge, who were frontlining last session. Spenclose could be improving a little bit as well. What are we going to see from No Larks and Matty, the likes maybe of PRS and Jamar as well? Will they be able to challenge ABT? Can be absolutely rapid over one lap once he hooks it up. Is he going to be able to challenge into the top 10 here? Now we're going to see any surprises come at the end of these next 14.5 minutes. We'll wait and see. Picasso piling out of the pit lane now. A couple of Alpines coming out quite early along with the Haas of Ginsters. Both Ferrari, both Red Bulls, both RBs if I'm not mistaken. A lot of cars coming out all at the same time. No one really wants to stay in the pit lane for too long. And this is a place where you can massively gain of the slipstream coming up this place. Coming up a Rouge and coming up Radion through the left-hand kink. And if you get a proper dose of ERS, DRS, and a little bit of a toe down this camera straight on a Q3 lap, that very well could propel you up a couple of positions. Are we going to see any teams doing that? If someone maybe has a bad session, do they just accept P10 and try to race their way up and help their teammate to a potential P1, P2, P3 on the grid? Wait and see. We'll wait and see if we can have any moments like that in this session as well. Say for example Squidge gets a perfect lap in, which is going to get him through quickly. Is he going to help Spenclose out on his second run to just try to get that other Red Bull across the line into Q3 as well? Wouldn't surprise me one bit, and we know those two can work quite well together as well. So then, who is first in line? I believe it's none other than Ginsters 83 in that Haas, who's going to be crossing the line first. The only car yet to come out is Hybrid 472K, still waiting in the pit lane. Everyone else is out, and most people in that sector too, which is going to turn quite busy soon because everyone's just going to want to create a little bit of space ahead of them. As by the look of things, everyone's got at least 2-3 seconds in between them. There's a couple of cars coming up to the bus stop chicane looking at the track map now. It's a Ferrari Mercedes Ferrari, which is going to turn a little bit interesting as they've got to create a bit of a gap. So it's going to turn into the bus stop chicane basically here for the next couple of seconds, but I think everyone's made it through nicely. There's yellow flags going on there, but I don't think it's anything to really note. As here we go, Van Ginsters right on the power, going down the slight hill into Pouon, sweeping left-handers, so tricky to get right. But if you do get it right, there's temps to be found. Straight on the brakes through this sweeping right left-hander. Also tricky corners to get right now. Not too much curbing to take as well. So basically just on the straight line, no more exit curb on the outside of that sweeping right-handed towards the final straight on the track, could be said. The final piece of flat-out running, no more exit curb there as said, so now you got to keep it nice and tidy. We expect to see a car in the gravel surely at some point during this race. As here we go, then Ginsters heading towards the bus stop chicane and through the bus stop chicane. First part and second part, somewhat nicely navigated, a little bit uncomfortable in the exit. Gonna come across for a 144.430. His rival in Darren Styles gonna come across for 145.339. And what is YPC Test gonna be able to do on a set of medium tires, mind you? 44.148 on a set of 1 medium tires puts him up to P1. Squidge goes faster than that by 0.4 of a second on a 143.740. Also worn medium tires. That's a statement lap from Squidge. That is nothing other than a statement lap from the Red Bull. Samo goes faster than that on a set of softs, mind you. That's a lap that should get him straight through into Q3. Anything else would surprise me. No Lux is up there as well. YPC Test at the moment might have to reconsider his medium tire strategy. He's currently sitting in P5. Djokovic is up there on a set of mediums on a 143.869. Unless YPC can just get another lap out of those mediums. But right now, it's not comfortable for him, and a couple of cars behind, sitting on those medium tires. Might have to come out again here, YPC, on that second run. Jamar, what's he going to be able to do as well? Expect seeing him up there, and he's going to be straight up there. 144.003 on a sort of soft tires. It's P5 for the British-Canadian driver, or Canadian-British driver should be said. Racing under the Canadian flag, as is a BT, is currently sitting in P8 on 144.251. PRS not really being able to hook up his second run here, 144.914, significantly slower than his first go at it. Same for Wigan and same for Matty Adam 16, not really being able to make that medium tire work for the time being. How far off safety is he? Is about 0.2 off. Spen close as well, not really guaranteed safety with that lap, 44.270, and then not a big gap up at all to that 144.148 for YPC. I imagine he's gonna have to come out again here. I would imagine he'll have to come out again. It all depends a little bit on track evolution as well. Nice and hot out there, but I think it could play a factor towards the end of this session. Iwatts is up there on 144.172. If he can just improve by a couple of more hundreds, he'll be guaranteed a place, I reckon, in Q3. But that lap might just not do it for Jamaican. Beat is lining up for yet another go at it, taking a very, very wide line on the run down to turn 1. The way you really want to do it if you want to maximize straight. Get him a couple of extra thousandths of a second, which at the moment could prove key, because look at the gaps between YPC Tess and Iwas, for example, down to a couple of hundredths of a second. Look at the gap between Djokovic and Olarks, down to a couple of hundredths of a second. Then you look at Sam Obama, who's cleared Squidge by a couple of tenths, but that is tire discrepancy as well. ABT then not improving necessarily through Sector 1, but that's not the sector where you have the most chance of improving. That's here. If you can hook a good Sector 2 up, you're golden for the rest of the lap. Sector 3 not too technical, Sector 1 not too technical. It is Sector 2, which is ever so tricky around this place. Let's see what it's going to be able to do through it. Puon, is it not quite flat out, but it's beautifully executed, nice and tidy on the lines. Now then through the sweeping chicane. How close to the curbs does he get? Quite close to them. A little bit wide on the left-hander, but I don't think that'll necessarily hurt him. And then just throwing his car into the right-hander. Nice and tidy on the exit curb, and he is improving by a margin that's gonna push a couple of drivers down a place. YPC has improved to a 143.839 onto that set of medium tires, and that should see him through. Not quickest on the medium runners, but it's very much up there. No Locks goes fastest out of anyone on the set of soft tires, 43.388. Which just makes everyone still consider maybe the soft tires the thing they need to be on, as Djokovic goes fastest. Is that on a set of medium tires? We'll notice in a moment. A BT goes sick fastest, 43.972. Djokovic, that is the fastest lap on a set of medium tires. It's quicker than Samo on a set of softs. Djokovic is absolutely flying around Spa today. That is a brilliant lap. 43.432 on a set of worn medium tires. It's absolutely brilliant from the Swede. And this at the moment is a season that Djokovic has just grabbed a hold of and is absolutely dominating. He's not put a foot wrong, doesn't finish off the podium this season. Djokovic is just relentless in a way that I don't think we've ever seen Djokovic before. Even if he's not winning every single race, he's just picking up podiums every single race. And he's turning into a dominant championship campaign. We'll have a look at those numbers in a little bit. I put them up for you right at the beginning of the stream, but we'll keep an eye on them once again. Now, though, we're going to be shifting our attention to the battle towards the rear. We have Ginsters, Matty, Wigan, PRS, and Darren at the moment out of qualifying here with a couple of minutes to go. 5.5 minutes to be exact, if I'm not mistaken. Ginsters closest to them and needs to improve by a couple of attempts. So does Matty, who's out there on a set of soft tyres now. Has abandoned the mediums, needs to improve. And if he can improve past those 43.839s, see no reason why Wigan and PRS maybe can as well. And that's going to put a bit of pressure, perhaps, on a guy like YPC that maybe does need to go out on a set of soft tyres in order to get through here. It's not certain that 43.839 is going to be enough. I'm not convinced. See if JMar can improve, see if BT can improve a little bit as well, because there's not massive margins. Hybrid as well. Just need to improve by about 2 attempts, which is definitely doable in a lap. As Matty on the run down to Pooh on absolute commitment through edges, throwing his car in, and it's worked brilliantly. This, if I'm not mistaken, is well the scene where Matty won his one and only Drivers' Championship in New Era F1 Esports, the quickest championship win that we've seen in New Era Esports as well. Clinched it with, if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6 races to go after a Season 2 that he just decided to absolutely dominate. Winning, I think, 7 or 6 races in a row. Not the NEF1 record anymore, that was a clip by Undercheck last season, but the record for a long time. So impressive run that from Matty, which culminated in championship crown here in Spa track, which he does enjoy. So let's see what he's going to be able to hook up on this attempt. It's a 143.833, 6 thousandths quicker than Tess, who might just have to consider a set of soft tyres. Jamas coming into the pit lane, which means he's gonna get a new set of tyres on potentially, maybe go again, just to secure himself a little bit. Spenklos needs to come out again now, that's quite curious, 144.270. And that's the situation that I was talking about, where Squidge could potentially just help Spenklos get into this session, because Squidge realistically not in danger. With that 43.740. Wigan very much in danger of not making it into Q3 here at the moment, though. 3 minutes ago, still out on track at the moment. Not the optimal time to be out on track. Even if he does come into the pit lane at the end of this lap, it might just be that little bit too late to get anything done. But he is improving, and he's improving by a significant amount. See if he can gain anything more through this last sector. Maybe if he just backed off ever so slightly. That's previous best. No Lux retired from this session up top. Opting he is safe. Djokovic, Sam and Squidge all sitting tight in the pit lane. Matty and YPC is now out, and what ties YPC out on soft tyres. Which means YPC is most likely going to be able to get or secure a place into the top 10. Darren now trying to solidify his place as well. As something just happened as Wigan, oh my god, flew up into the top 4 even with a 43.726. I was expecting a decent lap from Wigan, I was not expecting that. So that's impressive stuff from the Swede. And Aston Martin at the moment having a grip of this Constructors' Championship. Ferrari's right there. But Aston Martin just feeling like they've got an answer at the moment. Djokovic, Samo, Wigan, Matty is the order in the Constructors' Championship right now, with Squidge breaking up that little battle in P5. Interestingly enough, he's not out on track, whereas his teammate is. As Iwat's now navigating his way into the pit lane. That is him out of contention, unfortunately, for a Q3 result here. Spenklos now, what is the What is going on with the Red Bull team? I was expecting realistically to see Squidge out there, but that's not happening. Spenclose left to his own here to try to get into Q3. So let's see how it all goes. Ginst is currently sitting in P14, Darren in P15. Was improving on his last attempt, but he's going to have 44 seconds. Is he going to make it? Is he just going to make it, Darren, for one more go at this? PRS is just safe at the moment on a 43.985, but he'll have to improve on that potentially. He's not going to improve on that, which means PRS, the driver, in danger at the moment. Iwas is already out of qualifying. We can count him out. Spenclose now on the Camel Straight. Realistically, should improve those 2 attempts needed to get PRS out of this session. We'll wait and see. Nothing's guaranteed for sure yet. Ginstis and Darren can't count him out. Ivor and obviously Hybrid is closest to that gap in P11. With a bit of unluck, BT, Jamar, and even Tess not quite safe here, but I imagine Tess is improving. Yes, he is. And this is also going to give Tess some valuable information on the soft tyres that none other of the front runners have. Djokovic, Squidge, Matty, might even have to count in Zamo in that equation as well. They don't have knowledge. Sorry, Zamo does have knowledge of the soft tyres, but no one else does. YPC goes fastest by 3/10 of a second, snatching that away from Nolax. Not unexpected. But that gives YPC a little bit of knowledge on that soft tyre that no one else has, which could give him an advantage heading into Q3. As here we go then, Spenclose heading into the bus stop chicane. He's going to be first of the people to cross the line. Next up is going to be Nolax, but this one is going to be to see if PRS still has a chance of making it into Q3 on his debut appearance, or is he going to be out here with a lap from Spenclose? That sees him well into the top 5, and PRS is out of qualifying. Hybrid, is he going to be able to knock BT out of qualifying? No, he cannot, and what is that from Hybrid? I have no clue. Questionable that, and I have no clue what's happened. Really don't have a single clue. Is Darren Stahl at the moment actually is improving? Does he maybe just have a chance to get... Who would be... Oh, would that be... Matty now could potentially be eliminated. Wait and see, but I don't think it's just going to be enough. It's not. And Darren is eliminated along with Ginstis, Iwas, Hybrid, and PRS. Very close between PRS and Matty, but Matty, or does he just... should have gone out again, realistically. But he just survived there with a little bit of luck. With a little bit of luck. And YPC takes the session from Nolarks and Djokovic in the end. Samu in P4 with Spenclose in P5 with late lap on the soft tyres. BT goes through on a set of softs as well. Jamar in P7. I have a look at the rest of the standings in a bit because I have I've lost track of them. As there we go, Jamar in P7 followed by Wigan in P8 just making it through as well. Squidge making it through there on those mediums, but it was tight in the end. Matty very, very close actually to being eliminated. Got a little bit lucky there maybe with PRS and Hybrid not getting another lap in. But Matty just makes it through in P10, and that is all that's needed. And there's a 7/10 gap between the top 10 which is closer than I was expecting. So the battle for pole position is well and truly on. Matty was actually acknowledging in chat before this all went down that he might well be out with what was going on, but just made it through along with Squidge as well. It would have been sweating on that medium tire, but if I'm not mistaken, him and Djokovic were the only ones to go through on it. As here we go then, 12 minutes of qualifying remain. Unfortunately, you're going to have to just wait for a moment on these outlaps while I'll go have a glass of water because my throat's slowly giving up. But just see if we can get a decent offboard of maybe one of the Ferraris. That is Samo Bama coming out of pit lane. So I'll just give you an offboard of Samo for the time being, and I'll be right back in a moment's time to give you coverage of Q3 as well. As in similar fashion to Q1 and Q2, everyone is just piling out of pit lane straight away. The only one just holding station for a little bit is SFLY Jamar, holding station in the pit lane for the time being. But everyone else, no Larks, Djokovic, Samo, BT, Spenclo, Squidge, Wigan, YPC Tess, and Matty is out on track. As Jamar's just coming out now, he's going to have himself a lovely piece of clear track ahead of him. So it might not be a bad idea that actually from Jamar just coming out when everyone else is going through sector 2, because he's not going to have to yield on anyone on fast laps. He's not that far behind them. Quite a decent move that from Jamar. Might have to deal with a bit of traffic if someone abandons their lap. We'll keep an eye out for what goes on. 10 minutes to go in this qualifying session then until we know who's on pole position for a 22-lap race. But at the moment, Djokovic is looking mighty on those medium tyres. The only one who qualified and got through on those medium tyres, apart from Squidge. Djokovic was the only one to convincingly get through on them. Squidge maybe just got a little bit lucky in the end. The people didn't really improve to the extent that I was expecting them to. But let's see what Squidge's going to be able to do on softs as well, because I'm sure everyone's on softs now. Surely, yeah. As here we go, then heading into the fast corner, very, very sharp right-handed to start off the lap from Samo Bamo. It's an absolutely brilliant run down to Rouge and Radion. It's actually downhill before you start going uphill, quite steeply downhill as well, before the steepest part of the F1 calendar. And then it's DRS Open and top speeds ranging on, I'd imagine, 330 kilometers an hour, 340 maybe even, gets close to 340 kilometers an hour, where you absolutely slam on the brakes through the right and left-hander before this downhill section. Once again, very tricky on the braking, especially for the people running no ABS. I'm looking at you, Matty. Let's see if we have any lockups from him. Potentially YPC tests for this race. Everyone running no ABS is going to just struggle a little bit around here, potentially. But as said, we'll wait and see. Through poo on man, absolute commitment needed. An absolute commitment gained there from Samo Bamo. He's got a McLaren behind him of no Larks as well. After that, it's Matty and YPC Tess in fourth. That's just a bit uncomfortable on the exit. There might just have been a little bit of lag though. And just touching the gravel on the exit of the second right handle. See if that causes an impact on its lap time. Very, very minor, but could just lose him a kilometer or two an hour down this straight. Into the bus stop chicane, man. Once again, absolutely slamming on the brakes. How aggressive can you turn the car into these corners? That's actually quite aggressive from Samo. That's quick from Samo. Through the bus stop chicane. That's actually brilliant. And into P1, 43.635. Not going to be good enough. No Larks beats him to it. 43.509. Matt is going to be next to cross line. What's he going to be able to do? Only good enough for P4 for Matty. Not a brilliant lap. But YPC 42.828. As here we go, this quicker lap times are starting to come in. Djokovic, is he going to be able to beat that? Nah, gets close, but not close enough. 2 temps off in the end. And I don't think either Jamar or Wigan's going to get close to it either. Wigan only good enough for P8. Spenclo, 44.175. That's a little bit slower than I was thinking it was going to be. What's Jamar going to be able to do? He's been very, very pacey around this track tonight, has Jamar. So what's he going to be able to do now in Q3? Absolutely nothing on this lap. Question is he charging up and going once more? Yes, he is. So another fast lap then from SFLY Jamar. 151 on the board. Lap to beat then is 142.828. So an incredibly quick lap time from YPC Tess. Djokovic on 143.004. As that's a car that's quick in a straight line. Once again, relatively close to that 340, but not quite. 335 topping out there. It's Jamar now down the hill into the sweeping right-hander. Does he throw the car into there? Does just take it a little bit calmer? Takes it a little bit calmly. I think is the best way to do it. Then you've got to kind of throw the car into this left-hander and absolutely throw your car into poo with absolute trust that the car's just going to stick to the ground as these ground effect cars should. And it does, almost flat out for SFLY Jamar, right? And if you can go flat out for that corner and has a setup that enables it, that might just be another extra tenth. Very well could be worth it, especially if you're looking at someone who's in potentially, say, a match or a beat situation with not too far up to the next car. As Jamar at the moment is improving, what's he going to be able to do on soft tyres that are now more than a lap old as well? Keep that in mind, tyres are not really fresh anymore. How much commitment into the bus stop chicane, or maybe just even overcooking it a little bit into the chicane, will have lost him a tenth or two, but across the line, 43.265, that's a really good lap. On a set of worn soft tyres as well from SFLY Jamar, to qualify P4 here would be a damn good result. For him, a long overdue damn good result, but this is the Jamar of old we're seeing right now in these last couple of races. It's the Jamar that's won Grand Prix in NEF1, the finish on the podium regularly. Something's just clicking for him on this game right now. As Nazi31's in the chat, saying squidge pole position, I wouldn't count it out, but with the pace the YPC test is delivering right now, I can't really see anyone beating it on this first run. See if he can improve a little bit in the second one as well. BT was on lap along with Jamar just a couple of moments ago, but he aborted and came into the pit lane. It's just a couple of thousandths behind. That's not behind Matty, that's behind Samu, who's actually the lead Ferrari at the moment in qualifying over their tenuous teammates so far. So very fresh tenure. But Samo has the edge on his teammate right now, at least in qualifying. As Jace is saying, Jamar's on fire, the two teammates getting along quite well, and I do believe that Jace is quite happy to see Jamar right up there. P4 for the RB, challenging the sister Red Bull in P3, and with that pace, is Jamar maybe even potentially looking at a P3, P4, P5 start. Everything's gonna change a little bit now in the second run. But I really do hope that Jamar can just stick with the rest of the pack now on this second run and get himself that top start that he very much deserves, and a top points finish as well. Points aren't handed out in qualifying, they're handed out in the race, keep that in mind. As No Larks is coming out quite early, so is Wigan. So then the McLaren of No Larks along with the Aston of Wigan, the only two cars out on track at the moment. I believe we're going to start seeing a little bit of action in the pit lane quite soon. 3 minutes to go. And I think a couple of people are going to come out at that 3 minute mark, so we should start seeing them out in a couple of seconds. Just give yourself a 2 laps here if need be, because it is quite easy to make a mistake, and we are seeing movement down in the garages. I believe that's a Red Bull coming out. Could potentially be Spenclose. No, it'd be his teammate, and now Spenclose is coming out as well. So both the Red Bull out on track, I believe earlier than any other team, giving themselves time for 2 laps if need be. Squidge is handing a little bit of an advantage maybe to Tess and Djokovic by doing this, but not a significant amount. Or he's giving himself the advantage. If he screws up his first lap, he's going to be able to go quick again, as we saw that Jamar could, even though he'd kind of heated his tyres up for a lap ahead of time. Now everyone else is coming out. They're going to have time for 1 go at this, though. Squidge might just have time for 2. Actually, never mind. That was a complete lie. That was a complete lie by me. I don't know what I was thinking. It's gonna have time for 1 go. Yeah, everyone's just gonna have time for 1 go here, apart from No Larks and Wigan. I completely miscalculated that, but never mind. So then the battle for pole position is on. No Larks and Wigan out on fast laps at the moment. Where is Wigan in comparison to No Larks? He's behind him. So P5 is No Larks currently sitting on. As here we go, 43.509 is his current best. Needs to get up to that 43.265. It's quite a big gap, 2.5 temps up to the next car, which you can definitely find. And Olox is finding time at the moment, and he's finding time to maybe even, with a good last sector, push for a provisional pole position with this lap, which would be quite something. Track Evolution maybe just playing a key here, and he's getting a lovely tow off of the man who desperately wants him not to get into provisional P1. That's just going to give him a bit of dirty air. The question is, how angry is Nolax going to be with not being left by there? P2 for Nolax, and that's a good run. YPC not wanting to let him go right down the early stages, but it could have maybe given him a tow down the back straight. YPC even now on the lap. He needs to set in order to get P1 locked out here. Wiggins weighed his way up in P6, and that's as high as he's going to go this session as well. Matty's on a run. Spenclose is on a run. Wes Squidge, he's actually ahead of Spenclose on track. Going through Sector 2 at the moment is Squidge in his bid for pole position. No locks at the moment in P2, so that's a very good lap from him. At the moment, Squidge not improving through Sector 1. Is it going to be improving through Sector 2? Yes, he is, and he is improving by enough to challenge for provisional pole position. So let's see what he's going to be able to do come the end of this lap. But I think we're going to see that P1 slot just jump around a little bit before the end of this session. Beat is retired. I believe he's had an incident coming out of Radion. As now then, Squidge through the bus stop chicane. How much time is it going to be able to squeeze out of that Red Bull on the run down to the line? Is it going to be provisional P1? Yes, it is for Squidge, who takes provisional P1 away from YPC Tess, who now has a couple of corners left to deal with it. Is it going to be able to do that? We'll wait and see. 42.828 for the Alpine. Needs to get a 2 temps clear of his previous best. Heading into the bus stop chicane now. Is he going to be able to challenge Squidge, who's sitting on provisional P1? We'll have to wait and see. Nah, just misses out by a couple of hundredths of a second. Djokovic is not going to beat it. Nolax is not going to beat it. Spenclose is not going to beat it. Jamar is going to improve on this lap at the look of things. But how far up can you get? But at the moment, Squidge has provisional P1. Unless Matty can pull a worldie out from P10, Squidge is on pole position for the Belgian Grand Prix. Jamar comes around the final corner and he's not going to be able to improve. P6 was all he could do in the end. Wiggin comes into the pit lane. Matty comes into the pit lane, and it is Squidge 2017 on pole position for the Belgian Grand Prix. He is followed closely by YPC Tess and Djokovic in the end. Nolarks breaching in to the 142s as well. Spenclose just outside them with Jamar, Wiggins, Samu, Beatty and Matty behind them. But what a lap from Squidge to take provisional, or to take pole position away from YPC Tess. It is an absolutely brilliant lap. Nasty commenting that sometimes his genius is frightening, and I absolutely agree. Now that is one of the predictions of the season for Nasi. I'm absolutely sure of it. Matty unfortunately couldn't get anything done on his last lap after a driver error, from what we're understanding. But it doesn't matter in the end. Squidge takes pole position away by a tenth over YPC Tess. And almost 3 tenths over Djokovic and Nolarks. Nolarks getting actually very close to the championship leader there by the end of qualifying. But points are all handed out in the Grand Prix, as all of these guys are very, very aware of. But Squidge's chance of major points in this race has gone up significantly. However, out of all the tracks to be on pole position on, is this the one you want to be on pole position on? We'll have to wait and see. The Belgian Grand Prix is coming up in a couple of minutes, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for full coverage of the Belgian Grand Prix. 22 laps around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit is coming up in give or take 5 to 10 minutes. As we're hearing that someone has readied up too early on the grid, we do know who it is, and that is going to be a straight qualifying ban for next race. But then, it is what it is. The formation lap is underway. Everyone get back to your drives immediately. We are underway then. Formation lap for the Belgian Grand Prix. Squidge leads YPC Tess and Djokovic. No Larks in P4, followed by Spenclose in P5, Jamer in P6, followed by Wigan in P7, Zamo in P8, Beat in P9, followed by Matty and PRS, P10 and P11 PRS. Not too happy with his qualifying by the look of things, but will take a P11 nonetheless in his debut, but thinks he could have gone a little bit more out of the Mercedes perhaps. With Hybrid in P12, Iwatts in P13, Ginstes 14th, Darren in P15th, and Kit last in 16th. So then that is going to be a qualifying ban for the driver full for next week's race, which is going to take place around Silverstone as well. So one of the staples of the NEF1 calendar is Silverstone. Should be an exciting one for sure. And hopefully we do get a little bit of a surprise in terms of driver return for you in NEF1. For those drivers involved in NEF1, they'll know who it is. For those watching, you'll just have to wait and see unless someone spoils it. Which please don't, but it is one of the classic NEF1 drivers. Squidge 2017 then, followed by YPC down to the line. Djokovic is in P3, Nolox in P4. 4 different teams represented on the first 4 grid slots. It's going to be really, really interesting. So don't go anywhere. The Belgian Grand Prix is about to get underway. It won't be more than a couple of minutes until we get started, or more than a couple of moments until we get started. Maybe a minute in total. We'll see how quickly everyone lines up on the grid here as they come through the bus stop. Just going to do the last couple of burnouts. Get the tires heated up with those weird puffs of smoke just popping off. Completely desynced of what's actually going on. But then everyone is lining up on the grid. We can see the last cars pulling in to their grid slots now, with one of the Alpines trying to, I don't know what he was trying to do there. It's massively gone over to the side of the track doing burnouts. But here we go. Everyone is parked up on the grid, and we have those red lights coming on for the Belgian Grand Prix. It's 5 red lights. And it is lights on, away we go, and Squidge gets away very well. YPC does not move off the line whatsoever, and he's had an awful start down into P8. His YPC test did not react to those lights coming off. It's Djokovic who has the lead for the Belgian Grand Prix. We do have a little bit of carnage. That's Spenclose going off into turn 1. Is he going to be able to get it out of the gravel trap? Djokovic leads the Belgian Grand Prix from Squidge, and Wigan has made his way up to P3. J-Moss up to P4. And Samos up to P5. A lot has happened on this start. We'll wait and see, but a lot of position gains, a lot of positions lost. YPC test. What happened to him on the start? As Squidge is trying to challenge Djokovic down into the first proper corner coming out of the Kemmel Straight, but not able to do so. Djokovic has taken the lead at the Belgian Grand Prix on lap 1 here, followed by Squidge and Sam, who's made a brilliant start, up 5 positions from P8 up to P3. That is absolutely brilliant stuff from the Ferrari driver. Wigan in P4, followed by Jamer in P5. YPC now trying to battle his way through on the medium tires, currently sitting down in P6, was down in P8 at one point. Heading into the first corner, just did not move off the line whatsoever to that Alpine. Now just trying to get past as followed by Jamer. He's going to try to pull a move on him. Maybe around the outside into the braking zone of the sweeping right-left-hander. Going to have the inside for the left-handers. The two just make slight contact and Jamer stays ahead. YPC's all over the back of that RB. A little bit of lag as well. I don't know if that's affecting everyone, if something's going on, or if that's just me. We'll wait and see, but at the moment I think it looks like it's just affecting me when I'm on board with Tess. So it might be just a little bit of desync for Tess at the moment. We'll wait and see, but he is very much on top of SFLY Jamer at the moment. Around the outside into the bus stop chicane. Is he going to be able to get that move locked down? Jamar comes back on him. A little bit of a nice switchback move, and that is Jamar back up to fifth place. And YPC is just going to have to wait for yet another moment. Squidge losing the lead here on the opening lap after claiming his maiden pole position in the F1. Now down to P2, but still having a very, very decent start indeed. But Djokovic is just pulling away a little bit, which he needs to, because Tess is going to be coming at him and coming at him quick. Once he can just start clearing this traffic. Jamar now is going to be under all sorts of pressure from YPC here. DRS is already enabled on lap 2 then. Regulation change for this year. YPC tests on Jamar's. For some reason they're both ghosting. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so that is one laggy YPC test from what I can tell. That is one very laggy YPC test from what I can tell. I don't know if it's just for me. As PRS has had an okay start, up one position past his teammate, has lost 2 positions on that start. Now challenging Matty into Pooh. I know we're in the middle of Pooh and actually start challenging Matty MC. Move up there is not really going to work. YPC is still down 3 positions. No locks down 3 positions. Jamar somehow in the middle of this is still P6, which is quite miraculous even. I would have liked to just move ahead a little bit as Hybrids now had a little bit of a moment in Sector 2. What's going on? Maybe just a little bit of a spin moment. So Djokovic is now well and truly broken away from Squidge in P2 and Samo in P3. YPC is past both Jamar and Wigan, and is now going to be focusing on the back of Samo Bam over the next couple of laps, or maybe even just this lap, because now the DRS is going to be well and truly in effect. No one ahead of Samo Bamo to give him that little bit of defensive DRS. Now, let's see how effective that DRS is going to be. This is going to be the first indicator of it. This track, usually not brilliant for racing. Let's see if they changed it. Last game, okay, it's better this game. Is not as clear at all. Okay, it's much better this game. Thank God for that. Samo just able to hold on there from YPC tests. Okay, it's not an instant overtake, even with DRS. It's Jamar's now on the back of Wiggle, one to get past him for P5. Wigan up 2 positions on the start, and his teammate also up 2 positions, but crucially up into the lead of the Grand Prix to extend the championship lead. And we're not far away from counting how long before Djokovic can actually lock this championship down. Crazily, we're on race 10 out of 18, but we're not too many races away from actually starting to look at that. Closest championship contender at the moment is Matt, who's currently sitting in P9, so it's a 24-point swing at the moment in the championship. 23-point swing, sorry. But that is almost a full race yet again. As YPC now pass Samo into the bus stop chicane, or even ahead of the bus stop chicane. Samo's still very much there. Is he going to send one down the inside? Likes not to. Jamar thinks about it on Wigan, but not quite close enough to send it down the inside yet. But might he just have a move down the DRS straight? Is Samo now going to try to have a move down YPC's inside, maybe? On the run through the Camel straight. We'll wait and see. Needs to get a good exit out of Blanchimon, if I'm not mistaken, is that corner name. Could be wrong, please correct me if I am, so I used to not to embarrass myself. Here we go then, Upper Rouge and Radion. How desperately does Samo want to be ahead of YPC Tess here? How much is it going to battery dump to get ahead? DRS and ERS enabled. He's going to close in, but not by enough to get that overtake done. Actually, the closing speed's rapid. Is going to be able to get it done? No, just would have needed a couple of more meters of straight. With YPC now up into P3. So good recovery at the moment from YPC Test, but still needing a lot of work now. 5 seconds back from the race leader Djokovic. Lap 4 out of 22. It's a 22 lap race. One of the longer races on the calendar, but the shortest in terms of laps. Quite different from the 36 lap race that we had last week out in Sandboard. PRS is challenging iWatts into Puon, and he's being challenged by Beatty, who gets past him. Now Beatty might just have a look down. iWatts is inside. Not quite, but just waiting for iWatts to maybe just do a little bit of a slip-up. iWatts battling away for P9 at the moment. having some sort of penalty though. Might that be for track limits this early on? I would imagine so. Imagine so, and that is someone who's gone massively off. What on earth was that? Is that a BT? Yes, it is, who just completely went straight through the final corner in Sector 2. The first corner in Sector 3 should be said, and is that BT without a front wing? No, it's miraculously survived. It's miraculously survived. BT maybe with a mistake under braking, I don't quite know. That's going to be something to keep our eyes on. As BT's had a couple of issues in the past, and Wiggins now looking at the inside of no larks, but not going to have that done on this occasion. As J Marvo is closing in on Zamo Bamo, and he's going to have a go at him surely on this DRS. Now I don't think there's too much Zamo's going to be able to do to defend this one, unless he wants to battery dump for the sake of it. Jamar here on the medium tires is going to take P4 away from Samo Bamo. Yellow flags in Sector 1. That is Hybrid, who's had an issue coming out of the fast corner. It's not turning into Hybrid's race right now, this. Still a very... I mean, right now, we've gone a long time in NEF1 now without a safety car. Actually, no, we haven't. We were on the safety car last time out in Sandbort. Forgive me, I'm thinking about real life F1. But there's quite a high chance of a safety car at some point for this Belgian Grand Prix, surely. So just gotta stay patient here. It might turn into a race of attrition. This is drivers just get a little bit more tired, a little bit more distracted, a little bit less focused. Wait and see. As this is an interesting swing as well. Djokovic started on the soft tires, got ahead early. Now we start seeing Squidge just eat into that advantage just that little bit. Gap was 2.1, is now 1.7. So soon we might start seeing Squidge put a move on Djokovic. The question is, how hard is Djokovic going to fight that one? As to not lose too much time to YPC test, which might be the battle for the win. Djokovic and Tess right now, but Squidge very much involved in that battle as well. Matty's going to pass Nolarks, Jamar, and Samo somehow. I would have loved to see how that one played out. I'm sure I'll be able to get a POV of it later, but what on earth? How did Matty get that done? Matty doing Matty things, I think is the answer to that question. Nolarks and Jamar Van. It's a combination we've seen before. On the Camel Straight, is Jamar going to be able to force his way past the McLaren? Going to have to battery dump a little bit, both with DRS. But Jamar Van forcing his way down the inside into the sweeping right-hander. Brilliant angle. Jamar gets past up to P5. Nolarks has to settle for P6. There's a little bit of a train behind him. Is now Jamar, Nolarks, Samo, and Wigan all running very closely together, and PRS is there as well. Then there's a 3-second gap down to Spenclose. Just can't quite get the Red Bull to work around this Belgian Grand Prix circuit by the look of things. Didn't really get it to work in qualifying, and not getting it to work in this race. As again reports from BT as well, that once he went off, did so electively by the sound of things, having nowhere else to go, trying to avoid a collision by the sound of it. So BT probably cleared of any wrongdoing. That wouldn't have been investigated for any wrongdoing, and it was just affected him, but unfortunate there, because it has relatively massively affected BT's race. Was up in this battle with Wigan and PRS, now down in 14th. As Djokovic has put a wild overlap in, it gapped Squidge by another 5/10 of a second. YPC was closing in a little bit on Squidge, so potentially Squidge just having a little bit of a moment on this last lap. No Larks now. Is he going to try to get a move back on his FLY Jamar, as he just lost the position a lap ago? Gotta keep in mind though that Samo, Wigan and Spenclo, or Samo and Wigan are right there, as well as PRS is actually coming to the pit lane now for what I imagine is a set of hard tyres, so he's pulling the trigger quite early. Is PRS onto those hards. So let's see how that pays off. Pulling the trigger earlier than I thought anyone would, really. Lap 7, that is well early. Wait and see what happens. Mercedes then, hard tyres going on. See how effective the undercut is. No Loss has not been able to get past as FLY Jamar down to Camel Straight. And Sam is now defending from Wigan, and we're seeing that train just starting to spread out a little bit. As Djokovic 1.9 second advantage of a Squidge, and that is just getting smaller and smaller every now and again. Question is, how long is Djokovic just going to keep on those soft tires before he does something different? As Samo goes off track, and that is Wiggins straight past him. Needs no invitations. And Wiggins up to P7. Slight mistake from Samo. And it's these kind of things. Samo quicker in qualifying right now, but Matti just that consistent cool head in the races right now. Bringing those bigger points in for Ferrari. And right now they desperately need Samo up there as well, because Djokovic is on a really solid pace. Wiggins scoring good points every single race as well. So Matti and Samo need to pull themselves just a little further along into this race in order to be able to outscore Aston Martin here, because it is close in the Constructors' Championship. It's not over, and it's not going to be over for what I imagine until the end of the race, or until the end of the season. Between those two teams. So here we go, and no larks on SFLY Jamar. Once again, no one to interfere in this little battle. No larks on Jamar then, who's going to come off victorious. No larks pulls to the inside. He's going to have that move done. Just squeezes Jamar out to the outside a little bit, and he gets the job done. No larks. Oh, makes very slight contact with Jamar potentially. Didn't quite get a good angle of it, but they come very close to having an incident nonetheless. Through Sector 2, there is no larks, has made an error, just getting on power a bit too aggressively, and now, oh, gotta mind that rejoin, no larks. I believe just getting a little bit stressed by that mistake. Is that front wing gone? Yes, that's a mandatory pit stop, probably for no larks, then getting rid of that broken front wing. But it does come at a decent time for him anyway, since I would say pit window open, even on those medium tires. I don't know what the preferred strategy is, but how hard is No Larks going to fight this one? With the Alpine, with a broken front wing, surely No Larks isn't going to waste too much time fighting this one. And Darren can quite easily make his way past the McLaren. He's got nothing in terms of downforce, but nothing in terms of downforce means he's going to be faster in a straight line. Oh, and that's a straight line speed advantage if I've ever seen one. As here we go, Djokovic pulls the trigger early, comes into the pit lane, medium or hard tires. Medium tires going on that car, and the question is then, is everyone else doing a medium to hard or a medium to soft strategy? Djokovic now needing an undercut of his life. So wait and see. Comes out in a bit of clear air. He's gonna have to navigate through some traffic though of Ginsters and Spenklos before Wiggin is probably gonna let him go relatively easily, and then he's got a couple of seconds up to Jamar. But he is in a little bit of a train right now. It's Djokovic, so not the best time to pit potentially, but it's not a bad time to pit either. Needs to space out catching Ginsters over the course of the next lap. And just be kind to these tyres to get them through this opening phase of the Grand Prix. As Matti now is 1.2 seconds behind YPC. So YPC is not getting rid of that Ferrari, who's going along nicely in this race. And at this pace, is Matti potentially just a candidate for the win here? If he can get this race properly going. Squidge is just pulling away a little bit from YPC at the moment. But Matti, I believe, is fastest man on track right now. And he is closing in on that Alpine. At this point, you've almost got to ask in chat, Nasi, what's your prediction for this little one as well? Squidge, YPC, Matti, and Djokovic well and truly in the hunt for this race winners. YPC comes in early. Surely that's not for soft tires. Is it hard tires going on the Alpine, man? Is it going to be hard tires going on the Alpine, or has he made a mistake somewhere causing him an M plate or two? Would have lost him more time. What's going on the Alpine? Hard tires. Hard tires to the end then for YPC test. Let's see then, where does he come out in comparison? Well behind Djokovic, and he's not really going to be catching the Alpine now, or the Aston Martin now, sorry, before the cliff hits on those medium tyres. So YPC Tess, is this race now just damage limitation for his championship campaign this season? Nassi is going for Squidge for the race win. Not a bad prediction whatsoever. Very well could make his way into fruition. Right now, Matt is going along nicely. 2.2 behind the race leader. A bit of a different strategy than Djokovic is on. But that undercut from Djokovic might well prove incredibly handy. See how long a pit stop here is as well. I've no real clue, but by the look of things, it's not costing everyone too much time. But that undercut worked sweet on YPC Tess. Must be said, several seconds gain in 2 laps. Matty's definitely in with a shout here, but needs to extend this in a little bit, another 2, 3, 4 laps even, in order to get onto those soft tyres and just wait Djokovic out towards the end of this race. Looks like we're going to have dry conditions till the end, so it's going to be a straight fight. Jamar's up there as well, who's going to be able to interfere in this little battle if he wants to. We have Mercedes going slow coming out of Radion, and that's a B2s at the moment. On a set of hard tyres, could those potentially be new hard tyres? I don't know. No, Lars currently sitting in P13 on his new hard tyres, trying to make the most out of this race. It's Djokovic, fastest man of this race, 1:46.038. His fastest lap so far, and he's 7 seconds now ahead of YPC Tess. And I have a feeling Squidge is doing everything he can up front, so is Matty, but is this one of those races where Djokovic just cannot be stopped? He has those days every now and again where it doesn't matter how qualifying goes, doesn't matter what happens on the race start, but Djokovic just cannot be stopped at certain circuits, and is this one of those days where he did have a very good start, mind you, got up at P1, but he just feels calm and collected right now, driving like a man possessed almost. I'm thinking whilst we're just in this slightly calmer phase of this Grand Prix, let's just have a look at those driver standings, and as we can see, it's damning. Djokovic almost 100 points ahead and will be maybe 100 points clear of Matty Adams 16 by the end of this race. Spen close in P3, Wigan in P4 with Squidge in P5, looking to make an impression right now. We'll see how those standings look in a week's time, but Djokovic right now is doing everything he can to just put 4 races in hand between himself and Matty. With 4 races in hand with 8 races to go, I think that speaks for himself. Djokovic is cruising towards a championship at the moment, and I don't think anything's going to be able to stop him. But the question is, how good of a season can Djokovic have? How good of a season can the Super Swede have on his way to his third title? 1:46.011, another fastest lap. Matty comes into the pit lane, comes out of the pit lane. I would imagine soft tyres for 10 laps now. And he's got to be pushing like hell to catch Djokovic. Where's he going to come out in regards to YPC Tess as well? Right behind him, less than a second, crucially. Just over a second now. 1.5. He's got to be past him in a couple of laps. As PRS hard tyres going on the Mercedes. Split strategies done between Matty Adams 16 and PRS. YPC Tess, hard tyres. Those are going to be starting to work better than Djokovic's tyres, but it's going to be too little too late if I'm not mistaken. So Djokovic's now just going to navigate past the RB off SFLY. Jamar is just going to maybe give his sister Red Bull car a little bit of help. That's Squidge in front, 10 seconds ahead now. And might Squidge just be holding out for a virtual safety car or full safety car? Because that would see him in the lead of this Grand Prix if he was able to get a pit stop in under those conditions. Right now, Djokovic is losing time behind Jamar, and he can't. Djokovic can't be stressing like this. He's got nothing to stress about, Djokovic, right now. He's losing time to YPC for sure, but he can't be stressing out like this. He's begging for a mistake, and that's slight bit of contact made by his follower Jamar and Djokovic as well. Gotta keep calm, not really racing for position. Jamar yet to make his stop if I'm not mistaken, coming out right now. Maybe that was just him helping out his teammate a little bit, or Red Bull teammate, Red Bull family teammate, should be said. Where's Squid gonna come out in regards to everyone else? It's gonna be quite close between these three, but Squidge is just gonna come out. Is it gonna come out ahead? No. Ever so close, but not quite. Soft tyres though, and the freshest soft tyres of the range. Matty now is gonna try to put the move on YPC Tess on this lap on that superior soft tyre, and I don't think YPC is gonna be able to do too much about this one. Doesn't even try to. And Matty is through for P2, and now he has 10 laps to chase down Djokovic. 6.4 seconds is the gap. Matty is on his way to his first win of the season, but he's got to get there. He's got to arrive on the scene. He's got to get the move done. 6.2 seconds, 10 laps to go. YPC Test at the moment is going to be struggling to hold on for P3 as well, because Squidge has arrived on the scene. PRS is running a brilliant 5th at the moment, his debut race in NEF1 as well. Keep that in mind. Just keep a lookout for this guy, because this guy could turn into the real deal in a couple of races time once he gets used to the flow of the league as well. Impressive debut at the moment so far from TKM. Really impressive debut. Samo Bamo keeping him busy, however, in P6, keeping him honest and true to what's going on. J-Mar at the moment in P9 on a set of fresh new soft tyres, should be advancing a couple of positions, perhaps on Spenclose and Wigan ahead. Might be able to catch the back of Samo and TKM in a couple of laps as well. As Matty crucially hasn't been able to drop Tess on this lap, which I'm sure Squidge would have loved him to be able to. Because Tess is now going to be able to use that DRS as a defense mechanism on Squidge, running up Erosion Radio now. Question is, how quick is the Red Bull in a straight line? He's still very much closing in on YPC Test, but he's not going to be able to make a move on Desiccation, and YPC is losing time on Matty, who is gaining time on Djokovic, and Djokovic has got to be wary of that gap. He is on tyres that are slightly older than Matty's. Matty's going to be degrading quicker, and it will even out towards the end of this Grand Prix, I do reckon. J-Mar's now past Wigan and Spenclose, and now he's going to be free to go after Samo and TKM. He is 3.9 seconds off Samo Bama for P6. J-Mar could be looking at a top 5 finish here. Should be a brilliant result for him around Spa as well. Not where I would have thought he'd get a top 5 finish, but he's doing very, very well right now. Is SFLY J-Mar. Matt is closing and closing and closing. The gap's 5.5 seconds, 9 laps to go. 8 laps and a half to go if you want to be precise. As Tess has now lost the DRS advantage on Matty Adam, and that means Squidge is going to be right there as well on this next run up a Erosion Radion. Down the Camel Straight. As here we go then, Squidge versus YPC Test coming round the first corner now. DRS is going to be wide open on the run down or up Rouge and Radion. Surely this is going to be rather a slam dunk overtake. Pulls a little bit to the left to try to stick with the slipstream. Moves to the inside, and that move is going to be done before it even got started. And Squidge 2017 moves up into P3, and now gonna be free to chase after Matty as well, who's not disappeared down the road from him. Matty and Squidge, now that they just work together a little bit, try to propel themselves towards Djokovic. What did they do? As a Mercedes beat has had problems once again going up Radion and a Rouge, and it's not turning into his favourite corner of the weekend for sure. Yellow flags through sector 1 then. Is BT beached perhaps somewhere? He's just struggling a little bit to turn his car around. Nice, got a clear piece of track ahead of him and gets back out on track. Or does he? Something's going on with ABT's game at the moment. The question is, I really hope that this doesn't trigger some sort of safety car or virtual safety car. Yellow flags through Sector 1. Everyone be wary. Djokovic, Matti and Squidge are coming up on the scene. BT now, though, is thankfully moving and is making his way down the Camel Straight. Yellow flags are clear. Green flag conditions all over the track. And Squidge has set the fastest lap at the Grand Prix so far. We've got 7 laps remaining. Matti's not eating into the advantage on Djokovic at the pace that he would need to. And Djokovic right now has this covered. And copy that, ABT. So then, Wigan round the back of Jamer now as well. Jamer trying to go after Samo and PRS, and Wigan does not fancy letting that happen. Gets right past him on the Camel Straight down the run into turn, I believe it would be 5 and 6 if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. And Wigan's just looking in control of his car in this season in a way he's not really done on last year's game. Really, it was really good on 22, Wigan. A little bit of a down year maybe on 23, and now just looks really in control of his car. Having a better season than it's had in a long time, especially looking at how competitive the field is in general. 5 seconds now is the gap from Djokovic to Matti, and it's coming down, but it's not coming down quick enough for Matti. And Djokovic is not going to make a mistake at this part of the race. He's not going to make a single mistake. Spend close then on Jamer and Wigan. That little battle for the, I would say not last points paying positions, but the last high points paying positions, P7 and P8 I would count amongst those. Still very much going on, and Wigan at the moment is winning out in that little battle. Not too many penalties to keep track of. Unfortunately for Iwatts, he has one, and he has Darren right along with him, who's going to try to capitalize on it, and they get very close to each other. On the run down to the bus stop chicane. I was very much putting the squeeze on Darren. Darren doing everything he can to get past him, but just needs to stay patient because that DRS straight is coming up. And unless Darren has absolutely no straight line speed, he should be making his way past relatively easily. Ginsters and no Larks, crucially, is there as well, as Kit's had a problem going through the last couple of corners in Sector 2. It's just now getting back on track. As caution, yellow flags in Sector 3. It's a McLaren stationary coming out of the bus stop. I believe that's hybrid. As Darren has made his way past Iwatts as well on the Camel Straight. I do apologise if my voice starts sounding a little bit weird again, as it is slowly disappearing through the amount of speaking that I have been doing throughout this race, but it has been an absolute banger, this. It has been an absolute banger, and I questioned the racing capabilities of this track earlier on. I'm very much, what can I say, regretful for that, because it's absolutely been a brilliant race so far. Spenclose, Wigan and Jamer are still very close together, battling away for P7 right now. And that is probably the battle we're going to be looking at. Maybe Squidge on Matti. Squidge and Matti, that's turning into something to behold. Matti's now losing time on Djokovic. The question is, are those soft tyres just going away that quickly? Lap 18 out of 22, 5 laps to go. Is YPC potentially, with those hards, going to come back into play here? Been left behind somewhat. Squidge and Matti don't really want to invite him back into this little game, but if they start battling, that's exactly what they're going to be doing. YPC right there. If anyone makes a mistake, and that's something's gone on through turn 1. Is that Kit? No, that's Ginsters who's had an issue, which has relegated him away from the battle with no Larks, Iwatts and Darren. As Spenclose is now having this little battle with Jamar and Wigan. Jamar showing so much pace here, but just can't make anything of it right now. PRS has been overtaken by Samo, worth pointing out. So now sitting in P6, 2.4 seconds out of Spenclose. So they can't really allow those two to get any closer. And that goes for Samo as well. As Hybrid has now retired from this race, and it's a safety car with a couple of laps to go. And that's going to shake everything up. Now, Djokovic. Oh, he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't here. Does he go into the pit lane? Yes, he does. Matty, does he go into the pit lane for new tyres? He stays out. With a couple of laps to go, he fancies a race win. YPC, Squidge, they're all coming in. Samo now. Can he stay out on this tyre and just ask for a roadblock for his teammate? He's staying out. He's going to be clearing Djokovic, YPC and Squidge here. Does anyone else do the same? Or is... Ah, Samo, he might not be allowed to. He's going to try to hurry to make it past them. But it's going to be a race round the first corner. Djokovic now is in a massive advantageous position here. Matty in P1, followed by Djokovic is P2 on new soft tyres. Matty tried to make a different call. He's gained one position, but he now has Djokovic on brand spanking new soft tyres behind him. Squidge as well. Samo tried to do something there, but the question is, should he maybe have just gone in as well for a brand new set of softs? So YPC now in 5th place. Brand new soft tyres. Samo and Matty both staying out. Old tyres. We'll have about 2 laps of racing, which means 1 lap worth of DRS here. How aggressively can Matty defend from Djokovic here? How much is Squidge going to be on him? How much is Samo going to act like a roadblock for Tess as well? Darren stayed out here. He's benefited quite a bit of it. How is he going to be able to keep Spenclose, Jamar and Wigan behind him realistically? I'll wait and see. Wait and see. Speedy's car is doing whatever. And is doing whatever in AI mode, if I'm not mistaken. So Hybrid, first retiree of this race, with just a couple of laps to go. Really unfortunate stuff. Didn't catch the incident, however. As BT's coming out of AI to let everyone past. Hybrid, I was having wheel issues every time I turned right. The car would just lose the rear. That's really, really weird. I wonder if that's potentially the same issue Beat is having, that the car or something doesn't let him turn right, really. So that is Hybrid then out of this race, along with a BT out of contention for anything this race. Matty, 3 laps to go. It's going to be 2 laps probably on this race that I think will get going at the end of this lap. And keep in mind as well, this is the championship battle. Matty and Djokovic, you don't think of it as a championship battle the same way a couple of races ago we didn't think Verstappen and Norris of a championship battle. But Matty is there. He's P2 in the standings. Almost 100 points behind Djokovic. Not impossible, but almost. Djokovic is still not going to want that gap to decrease at all. If he for some reason has to miss a couple of races, or if he falls ill, if he retires a race or two, which we've seen happen before for Djokovic, at a couple of circuits. Now he's still gonna want this win. Samo, if it was P2, he could have very well held everyone up on the restart, enough for Matty to maybe pull away a little bit. But the Delta just did not let him. The Delta just did not let him. So Samo Bamo currently sitting in P4. Safety cars in this lap. We'll have 2 laps to decide who wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Matty is weaving like a madman. He's been in this situation before, but it's been a while since he led a safety car restart. Djokovic is going to be anxious behind him to get going. These two race each other a couple times in the past. It's gone well, it's gone less well. Djokovic is going to be aware of that. Matty's going to be aware of that. Nothing really at stake for Djokovic if he finishes P2. Everything at stake for Matty. He's won a race in every full-length season he's competed in, apart from this one so far, and he'll be aiming to extend that record as here we get going. On lap 20 out of 22, it'll turn to lap 21 out of 22. Matty leads Djokovic, leads Squidge and Samo Bamo. Oh, and Matty has not been able to pull away from Djokovic at all on this restart, and this is going to be tricky for Matty to keep Djokovic behind him for 2 full laps. Just see the grip that Djokovic has, and he'll have DRS on the final lap as well. Might Matty actually be in an advantageous position, being in P2, coming down on the last lap? We'll see, because Djokovic might just try to push past him without DRS here. On the opening lap of the safety car restart, Matty now got to stick with Djokovic for a lap without losing pace, because he'll have DRS on this next lap, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know quite how the regulations work, but Djokovic now is going to make full use of that soft tyre to try to pull away from him, and he's doing so quite effectively. The question is Matty, does he have enough juice to stay with him? Djokovic, on that new soft tyre, it's just inevitable. Matty gave it his all, but Djokovic has already pulled out a gap. Matty's now got to be focusing on maybe even just keeping a podium here. He made a call. It was worth the gamble, but realistically, should he have stayed out, or should he have come in? Probably so, and tried to battle away for the win, Djokovic, that way, because it would have been P2 coming out of the pit lane and had DRS potentially on Djokovic coming out. Matty made a call, it did not work, but now let's see if he can still hang on to something here. Djokovic is going to win this race, there's nothing stopping that now. 1.7 seconds the gap already. Squidge and YPC Tess. Ideally, Squidge, you do not want to overtake Matty there, because he'll have DRS on you. Okay. They seem anxious to get past. Sure, Matty doesn't mind one bit actually right now, because he'll have DRS on Squidge, and the chance for the podium is increasing by the moment for Matty right now. Okay, so we'll wait and see. Squidge and YPC Tess now. YPC Tess is actually in the best position for P2. Squidge has shot himself in the head strategically, but we'll wait and see. Djokovic has taken the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far in the safety car race, and I don't think that'll be beaten. YPC, Squidge and Matty now for the podium, and Matty's quite a ways back as Samo's falling down positions and positions on that worn medium or even hard tyre. Now let's see how much is in those tanks. YPC, is he going to be able to pull a move on Squidge for P2 potentially? He pulls to the inside and he gets that move done. Squidge having settled for P3 for the time being, but they're going to go into battle one more time into the final bus stop chicane as YPC Tess massively outbrakes himself, makes contact, or Squidge makes contact with the back of YPC, should be said. Matty, he tried something different and I applaud him for it, but it's gonna lose him a podium in the end. Maybe should have just kept cool there when the safety car came out, but it is so tempting to just stay out and try to hold track position. Not really maybe the track to do it on, but it is so hard to defend when Djokovic gets a run like that as well. Djokovic is going to come home to win this race. YPC Tess is most likely going to finish in P2. Let's see what kind of run Squidge can get on him. He can actually get quite a good run on him. And that is a lovely bit of slipstream. And YPC is going to have to go defensive into the bus stop chicane, and this could get aggressive, and Matty's going to realise that as well. Squidge down the inside of YPC Test into the bus stop chicane. Djokovic is going to come across the line to take the checkered flag of the Belgian Grand Prix, but it's going to come down to the wire between YPC and Squidge. Who is it going to be across the line? It's going to be YPC by 0.02 of a second. Matty comes home to finish in P4 with Darren. Darren comes home to finish P5 somehow. I have no clue how. Darren P5 in this race, followed by PRS in P6, followed by Nolax in P7, Samo in 8th, Jamar in 9th, and Ginstas in 10th. 5 comes home to finish a solid P11, no points unfortunately. Wigan sadly losing out under the safety car, along with Spenclose, P12 and 13, Kit in 14th, Beat in 15th, and Hybrid, the only car to not finish the race, but Djokovic wins yet again. He extends the championship lead. Matty tried something different. But my goodness. As we're getting reports from Matty as well that he had to go for track positions. He didn't have new soft tyres. It was a gamble. It was absolutely worth. Making. It didn't work out in the end. But that is how you win these types of races as well, by just being a little bit bold every now and again. Djokovic then comes home to win yet another Belgian Grand Prix. And it's a dominant season right now for the Swede, who's well on his way to his third NEF1 title. As we're getting reports as well that the ending of the race was a little bit mad. But I'm sure we'll have a look at that for the end of the Grand Prix. Djokovic then comes home to take another first place. YPC Test with P2 by 0.03 of a second. Ahead of Squidge 2017, so I'm sure Squidge is going to be screaming from his home in Britain after losing out on that P2 like that. Matt in P4, Darren in P5, PRS with a brilliant debut in P6. He's followed by Nolog, Samabamo, as well by Jamar and Ginstas. A couple of time penalties added on for track limits there, as they usually are. A little bit weird seeing both Spenclose and Wigan outside the points, but those things do happen. But then that has been it for a very, very entertaining Belgian Grand Prix, and I thoroughly have enjoyed, and I hope you have as well. If you stayed with us for the entire stream, thank you very much. Brilliant qualifying action, brilliant racing action as well, and a lot of drama towards the end. Is not going to lessen next week, as we're heading to the track that has provided the best racing in any F1 history so far, maybe next to Bahrain, but we are heading to Silverstone for the home of Formula 1, initially for the home of the first ever F1 Championship race, the British Grand Prix. It is going to be an absolute worldie. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with you in a week's time for the British Grand Prix, should be said. So stay tuned for then. Same time next week out, Monday night at 9 PM British time. Yeah, stay tuned. We'll be back then. Until then, have a good one. Stay safe. Take care and peace out.